I'm in the mood to read to you a story. It's called The Tale of Three Trees. I'm not going to be sharing the pictures because the pictures are originals. But the story itself is a folk tale, so it's not original. And there's a little thing that the author writes here that I'd like to share about the folk tale. For generations, this tale of the three trees has been handed down from parents to children, retold in churches at Christmas and Easter. My church has done, I think, a Christmas one of this, and even set to music and sung. As is often true of folk tales, its originator is unknown. But I really do love this story. So, here it goes. Once upon a mountain top, three little trees stood and dreamed of what they wanted to become when they grew up. I think we all dream about what we want to become when we grow up, even when you're as old as I am. The first little tree looked up at the stars twinkling like diamonds above him. I want to hold treasure, he said. I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the world. The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean. I want to be a strong sailing ship, he said. I want to travel mighty waters and carry powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in the world. The third little tree looked down into the valley below where busy men and busy women worked in a busy town. A lot of busies in that sentence. I don't want to leave this mountaintop at all, she said. I want to grow so tall that when people stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world. Years passed, the rains came, the sun shone, and the little trees grew tall. One day, three woodcutters climbed a mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said, "This tree is beautiful. It is perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest, thought the first tree. I shall hold wonderful treasure. The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said, "This tree is strong. It is perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. Now I shall sail mighty waters, thought the second tree. I shall be a strong ship fit for kings. The third tree felt her heart sink when the last woodcutter looked her way. She stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven. But the woodcutter never even looked up. "Any kind of tree will do for me," he muttered. With a swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him to a carpenter's shop. But the busy carpenter carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Instead, his work-worn hand fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold or filled with treasure. It was coated with sawdust and filled with hay for hungry farm animals. I bet he felt pretty disappointed. The second tree smiled when the woodcutter took him to a shipyard, but no mighty sailing ship were being made that day. Instead, the one strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple fishing boat, too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river. He was taken to a little lake. Every day he brought in loads of dead, smelly fish. The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and left her in a lumber yard. What happened? The one tall tree wondered. All I ever wanted to do was stay on the mountaintop and point to God. Many days and nights passed. The three trees nearly forgot their dreams, but not all the way. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree. First tree. As a young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. I wish I could make a cradle for him, her husband whispered. The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood. This manger is beautiful, she said. And suddenly the first tree knew he was holding the greatest treasure in the world, the Son of God. One evening, a tired traveler and his friend crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out into the lake. Soon, a thundering and thrashing storm arose. The little tree shuddered. He knew he did not have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and rain. The tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hand, and said, "Peace." The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun. And suddenly the second tree knew he was carrying the King of heaven and earth. On Friday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. She flinched as she was carried through an angry, jeering crowd. She shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hands to her. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. It had made the second tree strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. That was better than being the tallest tree in the world. I love this story because a great many times when we dream, I dreamed of being a doctor, a missionary, a famous writer, a you know, we have all these dreams, and then we get into life, and a lot of times our dreams die. Mine died, most of them, because I suck at learning foreign languages. I'm terrible at handling stress, and so being a doctor just isn't something I don't think I'd be able to do. Same with being a missionary. You have to be able to go into foreign countries and learn languages and learn new cultures. And I don't think I would have been able to do that. So those dreams died, but they're not dead. I still find myself trying to find ways to be a positive influence on the people around me and my community, because that is the real meaning of the dreams that I've had. The real meaning of those dreams was that I wanted to help people, I wanted to spread the love of God, and that's the way some of these characters in this book wanted. And these, in the end, that's what they got. And the third tree, that's what that tree wanted. And the first two trees, they wanted something important, something that would, you know, be the greatest. Who doesn't want to be the greatest at something? Greatest athlete, greatest preacher, greatest president of the United States, greatest politician. And I do hope that when I get to heaven, God will show me that I have made a positive influence on my community and maybe some others. Well, thanks for listening to me read and babble.